Okay, well, hello everyone. It's so good to see all of you here. Thank you so much for being here today. And I just want to officially welcome you to our 2022 JAMI Career Connect series. Our topic today is top secret career paths. So landing government jobs in the CIA, FBI, and Federal Bureau of Prisons. My name is Yas Hardaway, and I'm the Executive Director of Career Services here at GSEP. And this program is in partnership with GSEP's Alumni Relations team, Dr. Renee Dorn and Sofia Enriquez. So some of you may be wondering, what is JAMI? So if you are new to this program, JAMI is a Swahili term for community. And our JAMI Communities of Practice programs are designed to provide up-to-date industry insights, as well as help you connect to the larger Pepperdine community. So we have two distinct programs underneath the Communities of Practice umbrella. In the fall, we have our JAMI Career Webinar Series, and these are moderated Q&A panels. And in the spring, we have our Career Connect series, which these are interactive learning sessions. And our participants have an opportunity to have more intimate conversations in the breakout rooms, which you will have an opportunity to experience today. So our learning outcomes for today is we hope that you will learn about the different pathways into government agencies and how to position yourself as a competitive candidate within the CIA, FBI, and Federal Bureau of Prisons. Just want to make note that the session is being recorded, so you'll have access to this at a later date, and live transcription is provided. I also want to encourage all of you, if you are able to have your cameras turned on, especially in the breakout rooms. I think it allows for a little bit more of a connection and an opportunity to really maximize the networking experience. So without further ado, I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Renee Dorn, Director of Alumni Relations.
Thank you so much, Yaz. I'm so excited because we have 4 alumni who are doing exciting things within our government agencies. And so what I'd like to do is introduce each one of them to you and then have them talk a little bit about what they're doing in their current positions. So our first alum is Trisha DeVivier. Hi, Trisha, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Trisha is a GSEP alum from our MA in Clinical Psychology MFT program and currently working with the FBI. So Trisha, tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing.
Currently, I am a tactical analyst, and I've been in that role for the past 5.5 years. I have worked counterintelligence matters, civil rights, violent gangs, fugitives, kidnappings, and currently I work counterterrorism matters. And basically what a tactical analyst does is we are the sort of frontline defense for the operational squad with the investigative work. So we're doing workups on subjects, adding targets to an investigation. We are attending confidential human source meets or interviews, designing and developing questions for subjects or confidential human subjects, and also doing things where we're deploying analytical techniques with social media exploitation or analyzing phone numbers, text message, overall communications, or establishing networks and figuring out the connections between people and making operational recommendations where and when appropriate.
That's a lot. But it's very exciting, very, very interesting. So anyone who is interested in hearing more about what Trisha does in her position, or if you have any questions, you have an opportunity to speak with her when we go into the breakout rooms. So thank you so much, Trisha.
Right.
And we'll see you in the breakout room.
Awesome.
All right. Our next alum is Mr. Donald Harris. He is an MA in psychology alum and currently working with the U.S. Department of State. So hello, Donald.
Hello, thanks for the introduction. It's going to be really hard to follow up Trisha's. but I'll do my best.
But give us a little bit about your background and what you're currently doing, because what you're doing is very exciting as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's no counterintelligence, but it's something.
It sounds cool. It sounds awesome, but that was like my least favorite violation. I'll tell you why in the breakout room, but go on.
So I actually started my federal service with the CIA back in 2014. I actually resigned from that position to come back and get my master's, where I worked with YAS in career services. After that, I applied for the State Department where I work now. During that in-between time, I started working for the Army, doing security clearance work with them, which is what I did for the agency as well. So I have a lot of experience in vetting incoming applicants, and then also people that are already within these organizations. Now, with the State Department, I'm currently managing human resources issues, different personnel issues within the embassy here in Guatemala City. I also help out with other business operations, such as making sure people get the correct housing, making sure that people are in the correct positions for them, and making sure people are comfortable in away from the United States while they're performing diplomatic services for the United States.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. And if you want to hear more information about what Donald does, you can see him in the breakout room. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Donald. Our next alum is a double alum, and her name is Dr. Brittany Winters. So hello, Dr. Winters.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, Dr. Winters is an alum from our MA in Psychology department, as well as a PsyD alum. So she's a double alum. So we're so thrilled that you're here. So Dr. Winters, give us a little bit of information about what you currently do in your position with the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here and meeting some of your students and hopefully having an opportunity to chat with some of you all as to why I think you should consider a career with the Federal Bureau of Prisons as you move your way through graduate school. I completed my Doctor of Psychology program in 2014, and I went right into the Bureau from there. I started after I actually completed my pre-doctoral internship program at FCI Terminal Island, where you will hear from momentarily, actually, one of our other panelists. From there, I went on as a staff psychologist at our medium male facility in Phoenix, Arizona. So for about 4.5 years, I was there providing direct clinical services to that population. Direct clinical services in the Bureau of Prisons, and I'll defer a little bit more to Dr. Serrano on this in a moment, but really encompasses everything you can think of, from individual psychotherapy to evidence-based treatment groups, to psychoeducational workshops and seminars, to didactic training. I mean, it really encompasses a broad gamut. There is a wide presentation of psychopathology, as you can imagine, in our in our prison system. So whatever clinical interests you have that might be appealing to you, whether it's trauma, whether it's personality disorders, whether it's psychosis, we have a whole array. So I got to do that for several years. From there, I moved along to the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. And that is the highest security prison in the world. We have many folks there that you know their names, and it's all public domain, so it's certainly fair game to share with you. But the Unabomber, the Boston bomber, El Chapo, the 9/11, the surviving 9/11 bomber, all those folks are there. So that was another very, very rich opportunity to work with some of our most severely mentally ill, our most dangerous human beings on the planet that also present with very real mental health concerns. And then about 1.5 years ago, I moved over to our regional office where I am now. I'm currently the regional psychology administrator for the Western region of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. In simple terms, the agency is broken into 6 regions. And the Western region, of course, encompasses our westernmost states. So in this role, I oversee the 15 federal prisons that we have in the region. The plug I will give for those of you that are perhaps interested in thinking about this as a career, thinking about what your career goals are, a big portion of my current position is making recommendations to the regional director for staffing. So the regional director selects every single psychologist in the region. We currently have about 115 doctoral level psychologists in the region. And she hand selects each of those, and every single one of those hits my desk before it hits her desk, because she certainly can't have her finger on the pulse of every clinician coming into the region. So if this is something you might be interested in, please drop in, introduce yourself, take my contact information so that as you get closer to the door, you and I can connect and make sure you have the information that you need to consider this route. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Winters. And like she said, if you want to get more information from her, you can meet her in the breakout room. All right. And so our last speaker that will be joining us is Dr. Rogelio Serrano. Hello, Dr. Serrano. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hello, good to be here.
Hi. And Dr. Serrano is another PsyD alum, and he also is working with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So Dr. Serrano, Dr. Winters talked a little bit about what she does with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Tell us a little bit about what you do so the students can get an idea of what else takes place in the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Yes, well, thank you. Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. And I'm really excited. I wish I could hear Trisha and Donald kind of breakout room. They sound like they're doing some exciting stuff.
I want to hear what everybody else.
I want to hear everyone else.
Go in everyone else's room too.
But for my role here, what I do is I'm the administrator for the mental health services within the prisons at the Federal Corrections Institute at Terminal Island. I've been with the Bureau of Prisons for the last 11 years. I did my doctoral internship here, same as Dr. Winters did, about I think 3 or 4 years beforehand. I graduated in 2011. And then I stayed on in a career with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Basically what you can entail in terms of correctional services, everything you have in terms of a mental health system that you have in the community, you have to have within inside every federal prison. Inmates are entitled to any kind of service you can think of, which includes mental health and psychology services. And so it takes a team of psychologists to administer that treatment. We provide everything from group psychotherapy, individual therapy, crisis management, obviously risk assessment for suicide and homicide and mental health decompensation are primary roles here, because our job is to maintain that these inmates are functioning and utilizing the rehabilitative process to the best of their abilities. Substance abuse is another component of it. Right now, currently, my job entails administering the chronically mentally ill program for the Correction Institute here at Terminal Island. And basically what that means is overseeing the program for any inmate designated with significant chronic mental illness. We have an ongoing internship, psychology internship program, which a lot of our Pepperdine alum have graduated from and gone on to great careers inside the Bureau. And a big way about how I describe it to interns as they're coming on their first year is basically in here in the federal prison system, within the institutions, you are the subject matter expert. As a psychologist, you pretty much have a wide spectrum of available resources, evidence-based practices, and your own clinical judgment to oversee the mental health services for all the patients under your care. So you really kind of practice from almost an independent practitioner model within the greater system. And it's an exciting thing because the prison system is a whole entity and an institution unto itself, as everyone knows. But within that, we still are tasked with rehabilitative care. Ultimately, what we want to do is make sure that our inmates, who 99% of them will return to our streets, will be better people once they come out. And you can be a component to that in direct clinical services. Also, it's one of the last few places I found before I came to the Bureau. I've been an MFT for many years. And I found this is the one place where I can actually practice with the only real constraint being my clinical judgment and my colleagues and in the system, because as I said, we kind of are put in task with, you guys are the psychologists in here. Yes, we have correctional services, health services, wide range of services, but when it comes to mental illness, You're the one who has to say what happens. And it's an incredible kind of liberty, but it's also an incredible responsibility as a clinician. So you take your tasks and your clinical work very seriously. At the same time, it's been some of the most rewarding work I've ever done. And I've been in the field now for over 21 years. And it's amazing to see the change that can happen. The beauty of it is that the Bureau is also emphasizing a lot of rehabilitative work, and there's so many opportunities as Dr. Winters was describing. So if you're interested in knowing kind of what our work entails inside of a correctional institution from a mental health standpoint, just let us know, introduce yourselves, and I'd be happy to explain more about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Serrano. And if you want to hear more about what Dr. Serrano does, or if you have any questions for him, you can meet him in the breakout room. And so at this time, I'm going to pass everything back to you, Yaz, so we can get started.
Great. Thank you. It's going to be hard to choose which room. Everyone has such unique stories and backgrounds. So I just want to explain briefly how this will work. Hopefully you saw in the chat the speaker lineup, so you can read a little bit more about the speakers' backgrounds. And maybe Tammy, if you want to pop that in there again for those that are just coming in. So you can choose your own adventure. When we open the breakout rooms shortly, you'll be able to pick which room you want to go into, depending on which speaker, which agency that you want to hear more about. But you'll also have a chance to switch after about 15 minutes. So I'll broadcast a message that it's time to switch rooms so that you can hear from another speaker. Just a couple things I want to mention is I do want to encourage you to share the space. And so just make sure that you also are creating spaces for other participants to be able to ask questions as well. Tammy will also be putting some sample questions in the chat that will transfer to your breakout room, just in case you need some support in getting started and figuring out what types of questions that you want to ask. And again, I just encourage everyone, if you can, to keep your cameras on. I think it just maximizes this networking opportunity. So without further ado, Franya, if you want to go ahead and open up the rooms. If you're unable to pick your breakout rooms, then we'll be able to send you into the rooms that you want to go into. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I heard some great questions and great conversations in there. And I think some of you may wish you had a bit more time. I know it goes by really fast. Hopefully, though, you got some good nuggets of information that you can build upon as well. So I just want to thank the speakers again for coming. So Dr. Winters, Dr. Serrano, Tricia, and Donald, just for volunteering their time to be here today. It really speaks to your commitment to Pepperdine and your support of other people's career development as well. So just thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
great. All right. So the next thing that we wanted to close out with is just to make sure that you were aware of the resources that are provided for you. So I'm going to talk briefly about Handshake, LinkedIn Learning, and Coursera, and then I'll pass it over to my colleague Sophia, who will talk about Pep Connect. So Handshake, many of you are familiar with because you utilize that to sign up. Handshake is our career portal. There's over 650,000 employers who utilize Handshake to post employment opportunities. So that's your site to be able to find different employment opportunities through Pepperdine. Handshake also lists professional events. So those may be events put on by employers. They may be events put on by the different career centers at Pepperdine. Handshake also provides a library, a resource library, so you can find resume tips and sample resumes, how to navigate LinkedIn and use the alumni feature. So a number of different career resources through the Handshake resource library. It also is a platform for signing up for appointments. So we have document and social media consultations to help you with your self-marketing materials. And we also have career design sessions to help you clarify your next step and come up with a strategy and action plan for moving forward in your career. Handshake works a bit like Netflix. So the more that you utilize it, the more it knows about your aspirations, it can suggest different opportunities for you. So I would encourage you to use that. And then I'll just talk briefly about LinkedIn Learning and Coursera. So Tammy will put that information in the chat. It looks like she already has. So LinkedIn Learning is a professional development platform. And it's available to faculty, staff, students for free. And it offers just an extensive collection of courses. And these are by real world instructors who have experience and expertise to share. So for many of them, once you go through the course, then you might earn a badge or a certificate that then you can also highlight on your self-marketing materials. And Coursera is another resource that you have available to you. And that has over 2,000 professional development courses. And again, that's open to our community members as well. So now I will turn it over to Sophia, who will share a little bit about Pep Connect.
Yes, thank you, Oz. So I want to talk today about Pep Connect. As a member of the Pepperdine community, whether you're staff, faculty, student, alumni, you have access to the university's exclusive online networking platform called Pep Connect. And this platform will help you make connections with anyone at Pepperdine. So I know today we were talking about networking and the importance of trying to find a mentor. And on that platform, you can find a mentor, be a mentor to someone else. And you can find jobs on there. Also find like a business directory, all of our alumni. There's over 10,000 users on the platform. So it's an amazing resource for all of you to sign up and use. It's free. So that's the best part. So I would suggest for all of you to sign up. And I just thank you so much for being here today. And I'll pass it over to my colleague Usman to close out our presentation today. Usman, I think you're muted right now.
Oh, sorry about that. Hi, everyone. So we have our Jamie Career Connect shared drive where you can access the recordings for our events, including today's as well as past recordings, and you can also access the speaker lineup, including the speakers' information. And I think Tammy shared it on the chat. So we also have another Jamie Career Connect series as part of our series coming up in April, which is focusing on specializations in psychology, pursuing your own niche. And these are just different specializations focusing within psychology, and we'll have speakers for this one as well. We look forward to having you join in for our next Career Connect. And then we'd like to obtain, how this experience was like for you. So if you can share any feedback, we'll also be sharing this on the chat. How was the experience like for you today? If you could share any feedback regarding today's event, and so we can also provide based on how to improve in the future for our future events.
Great. Thank you, Usman. Also wanted to just encourage all of you to follow GSEP on social media. So there are a number of links on here for Insta, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also a LinkedIn alumni group. And this is a really great way to network because you can hear what's happening within the GSEP community among faculty, staff, students, and alumni. You can choose to follow alumni or follow faculty, connect to their networks, learn a little bit more about what's happening in the industry from different perspectives across the GSEP community. So it's another great way to connect and build your network as well. So thank you all for being here today. It was such a pleasure to see so many faces and so many people interested in learning more and investing in your own career development. And hopefully we will see you again in April. So thank you for being here, and thank you again to our speakers.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.